Audio on demand from Vision Christian Media.
Exploring faith and the future. Neil Johnson and Bible teacher Dr. Kameel Majdali.
We've been thoroughly enjoying a conversation all about temptation and trials. If we were summarising the sorts of things that we've been talking about, Kameel, how do you describe temptation in the context of our lives today?
I find that interesting, Neil, that you actually said we're enjoying talking about temptation, because that's what James chapter 1 tells us, verse 2. Count it all joy. Temptation is not something we normally would enjoy, but it's amazing what you can do when you walk with God. First of all, we learned that temptation is inevitable. There will be temptation, there will be trials, because Jesus said there would be. Why did he say that? Because we're in a fallen world. Bad things happen to good people, and good things happen to bad people. The righteous can struggle, and the wicked can prosper. But remember, their prosperity is very, very short-lived. We also learned there's a key verse on this, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13, that there is no temptation that has come to us that is not common to man. Everybody's gone through this. But God is faithful. He will not allow us to be tempted what we can endure, but will, with the temptation, make a way of escape that we may be able to bear it. So from that verse, we've learned that we are not alone. Everybody's tempted. And hey, even our temptations are not as unique as we think they are. If you fall into that trap, woe is me, I'm the only one, you're in danger of adopting or reinforcing a victim mindset, which is very common in our society, but is very dangerous for your spiritual health, because you're not called to be a victim, you're called to be a victor. We learned that the faithfulness of God means that he's always with us and that he's always consistent. One of the consistent things God does in temptation is he makes a way of escape.
Is it a case that there'll never be a day when we won't be facing those temptations and those trials, or perhaps not a day in our lives as we know them today?
Interesting question, and when I reflect on it, I would say that if you're walking with God in maturity and in fruit-bearing, if you're being tempted, chances are, in some cases, maybe many cases, you'll hardly notice it, because you're running a race, and the race is looking unto Jesus. It's a lot harder to be tempted when you're running for Jesus and looking unto Jesus, as Hebrews 12 says, than if you're sitting around idle and have nothing else to do, and then the temptations come. Or you put yourself in a compromising situation. You're not running for Jesus. You're doing things what you shouldn't be doing. I would say, no, you can have relatively temptation-free days, but you have to be walking with God.
That old saying, the devil makes work for idle hands, does that come by way of temptation and trials?
I would say being idle is a bullseye for the devil. If we're not working, or if we're not doing what God has called us to do, I'm not referring to retirees here or anything, but I'm just basically saying if you're not in the right place with God, then yes, it can be very tempting. However, you can be doing everything right for God and still be tempted. The fact is, when you are seated in heavenly places with Christ, as Ephesians says, the spiritual powers are actually more concentrated up there than they are down here. But nevertheless, there is a way of escape, and we should be able to bear it.
Faith and the Future with Neil Johnson and Dr. Kameel Majdali from Teach All Nations. For more from Dr. Majdali, including books and DVDs on prophecy, Bible commentaries, plus today's and other episodes of Faith and the Future, go to vision.org.au.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.